Hey everyone, Rich Trader here. Today I'm just going to go over how you can trade smart money concepts in a very simple way on the 5-minute chart. So starting off, first things first is you want to mark out areas of interest such as liquidity, fair value gaps, order blocks, just kind of things like that. So first thing to note is we are in a clear uptrend, okay, and I'm looking at an area of interest for it to come back into to trade this reversal back up to buy side liquidity, right? So first things first is on this push down. I'm unsure of how far this thing's going to come down, right? Initially, when we see a pullback like this, your initial thought when you're trading these kind of concepts is just next area of liquidity. So here, I'm thinking we should be coming down to this liquidity. However, I am keeping in mind that we have this for this 5-minute fair value gap here. So as we're pulling back here, I see that we start to consolidate, and then we get this energetic push on up after bouncing off this 5-minute fair value gap. So when I see something like this, I kind of flip my bias, right? So initially I'm thinking sell side. Now I'm thinking that this is probably going to continue into a reversal back up to buy side liquidity. So now I'm switching my bias to potentially take a long entry. If you hop into the 1-minute chart, you also see that we have, right, lower highs, lower highs, lower low, low low, low high, lower low, lower high, right, lower low, and then we get this energetic push on up, displacement over this high here, showing that we're now getting that market structure shift, MSS. And it's not only that we're getting the market structure shift, it's the fact that we're getting that structure shift at this 5-minute fair value gap high kind of interest area, right? So when I see that, that's when I'm going to flip my bias, start to look for a long position. Okay, first things first, I'm going to mark this order block here. Okay, right, pretty obvious order block right there, and you can see we're going to come back down, we tap it, and then get that push on up. So now that kind of gives me the confirmation that yes, this is most likely going to now push up to buy side liquidity, and I can now look for that long position, that long entry. Now that I have two confluences of bias flipping it to a bullish direction. Okay, so now I'm looking for that fair value gap, ideally fair value gap entry, and we see these two candles close. So now we have this 5-minute fair value gap right here. Cool. Now off this 5-minute fair value gap, I'm going to go ahead and place my entry position long. Pretty simple. Target buy side liquidity, and I'll put my stop just underneath this wick right here, the bottom wick of the creation of the fair value gap. Put my entry right in the middle, maybe a little bit more towards the top. 2.5 or 2.75 point risk, targeting 8.5 points. So this gives me a 3 restore ratio, which is very, 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 very solid. Typically, I like to target anything over 2. And will not enter anything under 1, right? So that's kind of where I find the best opportunities in the market. So let's go ahead and speed this on up. Get that push down. That fills our orders perfectly. And beautiful push on up here. And you'll see what is left behind this order block here. So now we're stacking these order blocks, stacking these entries, right? So more confluence here. Now that we have that order block, I don't want to see this order block fail. Ideally, I'd like to see this thing hold. Good push on up, and we come back down, retest that order block, which is completely fine. If you are an ambitious trader, you could also go ahead and add a position right here, right? Same target, and then put this stop loss on this trade just underneath this wick in here. And at this point, you could even put that trade up to break even. Now we just go ahead and speed up the time. And we get one last tap into that order block, and then the follow-through move into our target. So this is just a perfect example of how you can trade smart money concepts on the 5-minute chart, right? You don't need to just stick on the 1-minute chart. You can 100% use that 5-minute chart. It's a lot slower, a little easier to use for a lot of new traders, especially, right? You don't have to be thinking super quickly as every minute there's candlesticks printing. Now you have 5 minutes per candlestick to really think about and kind of, gather your understanding of what price is doing. The biggest takeaway here is this: how I'm flipping my bias here off this 5-minute fair value gap, right? I'm not going to just go ahead and put a long entry here because I don't know how this pullback, how it's going to continue. This could very well knife straight through this and target sell side, right? However, just as this did, you can also very well hang in here, hold, and then get that energetic push on up. And at this point, I can change my bias, take a super aggressive entry here on this bullish order block if you'd like to. Not a terrible idea, right? Just because the risk to reward is very good. You can take a long position here, stop underneath here, target buy side. Or you do what I did here in this example, and you wait for the next entry to come along after this gives you additional bias, right? This increases the confluences that you have, increases your confidence in the trade that this is going to continue higher, and you take this inefficiency of the 5-minute fair value gap up here, targeting that buy side liquidity. Last thing that you can do that I would recommend is draw out your discount and premium. So if we're taking a long position, we ideally want that long position to be underneath the 0.5, and you can see this 5-minute fair value gap is underneath the 0.5 of the current range, right? So that's just about it. Have a good one, guys.